Hello and welcome to another episode of Farm Girl Fibers. I'll scoot up a little bit closer. So, this is a knitting and crafting podcast. Today is just going to be knitting because I just realized I didn't think to bring my sewing in here and I don't really have that much time. So it is Friday, February 1st, 3 o'clock, a little after. And anyways, I'm coming to you from Alpine, Tennessee, where we live on my husband's family farm. And he's a full-time farmer, and I am currently full-time, part-time indie dyer. I do have another job, but it's kind of part-time also. So anyways, 2 part-time jobs, hopefully they'll work. So my hope is that I can be a full-time indie dyer at some point, but it's going slow at the moment. So we'll speed that up maybe. We do have, I do have several fiber events this year that I'm going to, so I'll be traveling some for that. And I'm really excited. The first one's in April in Indiana. And then I'm also going to Mississippi and where else? Oh, SSK in Nashville. I'm really excited about that one because it's close and I wanted to go last year, but I didn't get to. So I get to go this year and I get to vend at it, and I'm excited to meet everybody. And so then, anyways, I'm excited to meet everybody at all of them, but since the SSK is so close, it's just 2 hours away, I'm really excited about that one. The other ones are pretty far, like 7-8 hour drive, so I'll have to do a hotel and all that stuff. But anyway, I get to meet everybody, and hopefully people can find out about my yarn. And so let's see, we'll get into the knitting content, and then I'll try not to blabber too much. But it's been a long time, and I don't really, I should have more to show, but I don't. I gave some of it away for Christmas presents, and I don't know, I didn't do quite as much knitting in December as I had hoped to. And then, like I said, part of it has already been gifted. But my most favorite finished object that I probably ever had is this sweater here that I'm wearing. So, you can see there. This is the no-frills sweater, but without the mohair. I do plan on doing a mohair version pretty soon, but this one, I really wanted to use my honeysuckle base, and it's merino cashmere nylon, and it's more of a sport weight, so there's 380 something yards per skein. So anyways, I decided to use that, and I figured it'd be about the same as using fingering weight with mohair held together. And yeah, I don't know for sure if the yarn, it's the same thickness or whatever, but the gauge worked out perfectly. So I think it's size 6 needles, I'm pretty sure. I used the needle the size called for in the pattern, and I'm pretty sure the gauge is like 21 stitches per 4 inches, and I don't remember the rows, but I got perfect gauge. So I used my sport weight honeysuckle base, and unfortunately this particular dark blue here, it has some purple streaks in it. I don't know if they're actually showing up. It doesn't look that splotchy in real life. For some reason, the purple is showing up as dark navy blue when it looks purpley in real life. So those like dark navy blue splotches, they don't look like that in real life. But I don't really know what to do. I should have tried to find a different spot. But I needed to be close to the charger, and then I forgot to use the charger. So what size did I knit? I think I knit the medium. Could have been the large. Probably whichever one would have gave me about 6 inches of positive each. I feel like I have 6 inches at least. I have quite a bit of positive ease, which I wanted it to be not super oversized, but somewhat oversized. So it worked out. The size is perfect. This fits so great, and I really love that like the neckline is not too wide, it's just the perfect width. So I don't have to worry about, like a lot of the sweaters I've made, and I always wear a tank top underneath anyway, or something underneath t-shirt, sweatshirts and whatever, but most of the sweaters I've made, like, kind of come farther over, so you can see whatever shirt I'm wearing underneath. And this one and another one has, I think, maybe I have 3 that has a neckline sort of like this, but I like this where it's close, and so, you know, you don't have to worry about matching. It just so happens that this navy matches, but you don't really have to worry about matching your tank tops to your sweater because you can't see them. Why I feel it's so important to wear a shirt under a long sleeve shirt, I really don't know. But anytime I wear a sweatshirt or a sweater, I always put a tank top or a t-shirt underneath. It's just, I don't know. I've done that for years and I just feel weird if I don't. So anyway, all winter long, I pretty much have on 2 shirts. But I digress. So, if you haven't knit the no-frills sweater yet, I highly suggest the pattern. Really easy to follow, except the very beginning. So, at the back here, and I don't think that you'd be able to see it, but the back here, there's short row shaping. So, you cast on in the round, and then knit this part, so you don't have to pick up any stitches, which is really good. So you go ahead and knit this, and then you do short row shaping. And the short rows are not hard, but this pattern, it's not like exactly step by step. So it kind of took me just a little bit of thought when I first started the short rows. So the difference is that you do the short rows and increase the raglan stitches, so you start increasing while you're doing the short row. Anyway, I'm really probably not making any sense. So, moral, long story short, whatever, the short rows are easy, but the pattern does explain it. It's just not in a like step by step as much way. Like, for instance, it doesn't tell you to put markers in for the raglan stitches. So I had done a lot of sweaters before, so I put markers in, you know, before and after each raglan stitch, so that way I could remember where to do the increases. And so it's just a few little things like that that maybe takes just a little bit of thought, but once you do the first couple short rows, it's really easy after that. Just, you know, the first couple, and then you're like, oh, this makes sense now once you start doing it, and it's really easy. Then the rest, once you go back in the round, it's just regular raglan shaping. If you've ever done anything like any type of raglan shirt, like the flax or what's the other one, the so faded, or, you know, whatever, it's really the same thing. You know, you increase on these raglan lines to a certain amount, and then you put it on hold for the arm, do the body, come back and do the arm. I did knit it to whatever length, and then I was like, I think that's long enough, so I did the bottom ribbing, bound off, done the sleeves, tried it on. It wasn't long enough. So I ripped the ribbing back out and knit it like 3 inches longer, and then added the ribbing, and it's perfect. This, you'd think like 10% cashmere wouldn't make that much of a difference, but it does. It's weird, like, you know, 10% is a little bit, but the 10% cashmere makes a really big difference. It also makes it slightly, little bit of a halo. You probably can't see that, but anyway, so it's super, super soft, and I really, really love the feel of the cashmere. Now I want to make all the cashmere sweaters, but I won't because I like my other yarn too. But anyways, so let's hurry it along. if you watched Vlogmas, I'm pretty sure I had this at Vlogmas. Absolutely, I know I did, because I had this whenever I did. Actually, I may have even put this on a podcast, because I did do one podcast back in December. But anyways, here's the Kobuk hat, just in case. Pattern by Caitlyn Hunter. Yarn, the mohair was that shabooey stuff. Cloud, silk cloud, what, I don't know, whatever it is. It was in blue. Don't remember the color. And then the DK weight yarn was some merino silk that I had gotten last winter, and this was way before I started dyeing to sell, so I was just playing around and threw some dye on here. So I ended up with blue and purples and stuffs. But anyway, this pom-pom came from Get Your Yarn Wishes Granted. I really like it. So there's that. Now, this I finished on my way to Omaha back earlier this month. I had to go for, well, the company I'm working for is Woodman Life, used to be Woodman of the World, but I had to go to Omaha where their home office is, and I do not like to travel. I had not been on an airplane since 2000 something, 2004, maybe, 2005. So way over 10 years, I had not been on an airplane, and I got to fly on 4 because I changed planes on the way out there, and then I changed planes on the way back. And so anyways, that was a bit of an experience going to the Chicago airport and the Dallas airport. And as a side note, because I know I said I would say babble to the end, but obviously that ain't happening. American Airlines really needs to plan a layover longer than an hour, because whenever you're at the Dallas airport or the Chicago airport and your gates are on opposite ends, it takes a while to get to the next airplane. But anyway, so this finished on the way out there. We did have to sit on a plane in Chicago for like an hour and a half because it was a brand new plane and no passengers had rode on it before, so they flew it to the Chicago airport, and then this was the first commercial flight. Well, they didn't have the paperwork done. Then they get the paperwork done, and guess what? The cockpit door wouldn't shut. As I was getting off the plane in Omaha, I heard the pilot telling some other people at the airport or whatever that he didn't think to check it because they'd already flew it out there. So whoever flew it out to to Chicago, really should have had the cockpit door shut. And so he was checking everything else and didn't think about the door not shutting. And then it like wasn't even on the hinges because they got like the maintenance people out there to fix it and stuff, but they couldn't fix it. So we had to get off that airplane, walk to another spot and in the Chicago airport and get on another airplane, and then we got to go. So it was an hour and a half late. But I had plenty of time to work on this hat, and let me tell you, this right here is my favorite hat I have ever made, and I am totally gonna be making some more of these. This is just the bomb. Back whenever I was student teaching, they said the bomb all the time, and I guess it kind of stuck with me. But you guys are gonna think I'm like insane today. I don't know what's happening to me. I got a little frustrated because nothing was like working out, so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna film a podcast finally. And it says we're 18 minutes in and we just got a few things. But anyways, I don't know how really good I look with a slouchy hat, but I still like it. So here is the Midas hat. I don't remember who the pattern's by, but it's on Ravelry. It's a free hat pattern, and I'll type in the info. I won't do the links because that's going to take a long time. I'll be lucky to even get the info typed in, so it'll probably just be like Midas hat. Sorry whoever designed it. The pattern's on my phone, or I would look. So most everybody prints the patterns out, but I think that just wastes paper, and More importantly, it's something I have to keep up with, and I'm good at losing things or misplacing things. I know paper is not really, unless it's like stuck in a notebook, it's probably not going to stay. So instead of printing it out, I go into my library and push download on my phone or iPad or even computer, because I have MacBooks, so all the Apple products, you know, I don't know, I'm sure there's something you can do with the other thing, the Android phones, but so push download in the library, and then it downloads it, then, you know, being like the web browser, so then I like tap down at the bottom, it says open in, tap on that, those blue words, and then scroll over to where it says iBooks, and tap on that, and then it opens it in iBooks, and it saves it to the cloud. So then whenever I go to the iPad or the computer, I can open up iBooks and it'll download, you know, click on the picture and it'll download to that. And then like iBooks also has, you know, if you tap, like you open something up in it and you tap in on the screen, this little thing comes up in the top right hand corner that has like a little pin, like the top of a pen. If you click on that, then there's some options down at the bottom. So I can, you know, mark stuff off as I go, or highlight which size I'm going to do, and highlight the number of stitches needed, and whatever. And so anyways, the markings transfer over to the iPad and the computer and stuff. So I really like that, and that's how I do all my patterns, is with that download thing. So anyway, back to the hat. Midas hat, free pattern on Ravelry, perfect hat pattern. Except I had to do a little bit of modification. So what you do, it's free pattern, so you know, anybody can download it, so I'm not going to give any secrets away. So you do a provisional cast on, you knit 30 rows, you do a purl, or you do an increase at like row 29 or 28, I don't know, something. Do an increase, purl row, then knit 30 rows, and knit the row, fold it over, so it has like, it does have a bit of a seam here, and you can kind of see it on this side, but it doesn't show up. I blocked it over a balloon. It doesn't show up too much. You can't really even see it on the, it doesn't even show up enough really to show up on the camera, but which side's my camera on? I really need to figure this out. I think it's over here. So it kind of shows, I mean, you can kind of see it if you look close in real life, but it's really not that big of a deal. And I was kind of wondering, like, how in the world is this gonna, like, you know, hug my head if it doesn't have ribbing? But it does. It's like magic or something. So then whenever I blocked it, I was afraid it was gonna be like ginormous and I was gonna have to rip it all out and try again. But it dried and poof, magic. So anyway, what I did was, I think it calls for a size 4, so whatever needle size is in the pattern, I started with that. I done the chain thing with the crochet provisional cast on, so I chained however, like 100 and something, because I always figure I'm going to accidentally skip one, so if I want 100 stitches, I chain extra, like 110 or something. So I picked up with I don't know why I'm explaining all this, but anyway, so I cast on 100 stitches, so that's 17 less than what it's supposed to be. So I did the 100 stitches, then on the increased row, goodness, I'll try to edit that out. Can't promise I will. But on the increased row, I think I increased every 10 stitches, because, you know, that makes sense. I should have brought my notebook over. So I increased every 10 stitches, then I forgot that we were supposed to do 30 rows, so I ended up at 35 rows. Then I did the purl row. That makes it have this nice little edge right here. And it also makes it fold really easily. So then I did 35 more stitches, 35 more rows, and put them together. Then I increased, so I knit the folded edge thing together. Then after that I increased another 11 stitches because I wasn't thinking. I just increased every 10 stitches again. And I think that's right. Yeah. And so anyways, I ended up with 121 stitches. I do have a very large head, so I'll put that in there. If you have a normal size head, you probably wouldn't need to increase to 121 stitches. But you might, depends on how thin your yarn is, what size yarn you're using, what size needles, how you knit, whatever. So I just decided I better increase it again. Then I decided, you know what, I'm gonna go up a needle size. So I knit this part on the size 4, I'm pretty sure it was size 4, and whatever was called for in the pattern. Then after I hooked them together, increased, I ended up changing to a size 5. So the body of the hat's done in size 5. Now I did get a little bit carried away and knit it to like 8.5 or 9 inches, and then I'm like, oh wow, this is long enough. I need to start decreasing. So he got off the bus at Granny's instead of here, but that's okay, as I told him to. So he likes getting off at Granny's because he gets off the bus like 15 minutes sooner. But anyways, 15 minutes to a 7-year-old does feel like an eternity. So so yes, I knitted it like a 1/2 inch or 1 inch longer than what she said in the pattern. And I'm like, not ripping that back because, you know, then I have to pick up the stitches and I didn't want to do that. So I was like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and decrease and maybe it'll work. And I think it works. I mean, is it too slouchy? Nobody's walked up to me and told me it was too slouchy. So if you think it's too slouchy, just say so in the comments. It won't hurt my feelings. Then I went ahead and wore it some that week while I was out there. But the top, the decreases, it was a little bunchy up at the top. So after I got back home, I got a balloon and wet this and put it over the balloon and then let it dry like that. And so now it lays all nice and flat. So anyway, very comfy, very easy. And this folded brim, now I know why everybody wants to do a folded brim, because they're like really squishy, like soft and warm. Love it. Something else I finished while out in Omaha is my Stargazer socks. And again, I don't know, the Small Bird Workshop, I think. Something about small birds. So anyways, she has several really cool sock patterns. I think I just purchased this one. I think this is the only one I purchased. But anyway, there was some more I was looking at. So I have wore these, so I'm not going to show you the foot, or at least not the bottom of the foot, because it's a little bit, well, you know how it is when you wear them even just one time. But anyways, they start at the toe. This is Woolfiend's Winter is Coming, pretty sure. And that would be on her 80/20. I don't know if she still does 80/20 or not, but I really like the 80/20 for socks. It's really good for socks. Then this is it showing up? Yeah. So that's really close to what it looks like in real life, yes. So now these have been washed. They've been worn, but I washed them. They're not dirty. So this is my Dr. Meets Rose colorway, which was part of a Christmas club, the Doctor's Christmas Club, and it is back in the shop. I'm making it a shop regular because it is seriously one of my favorite colors I have made. And because I will show you the back of the leg, so that's what it looks like in just plain stockinette. But I just love the mix of blues, mauve, burgundy, purple, and the very dark TARDIS blue. So this was inspired by Rose's outfit on the Christmas special, the last Christmas special of the 10th Doctor, whenever he regenerated at the end. And so this was based on Rose's outfit, and then the dark blue for the TARDIS. But and actually the whole reason I knit this was because Meg from Bad Wolf Girl Studios was looking for a Rose Tyler hat, the style of hat that Rose was wearing, and this scene that inspired this color. But anyway, so she found that on Ravelry, and I really loved that hat too, so I had to make one. But Rose's was, you know, this burgundy-ish plum color here. But it's a nice simple pattern, texture all on the front. It has a heel flap and gusset, and I got the toe up version because I'd been wanting to experiment with toe up, heel flap, and gussets. I mean, I did have, there's another pattern that's free, I think it was free, on how to do a toe up, heel flap, but it didn't fit. I don't know why, but it just didn't really want to go on my foot. I mean, it fits fine, but it's a little bit tight getting on my foot. So I wanted to experiment with that. And one thing I did on accident, I started increasing a little bit too soon. And then I tried it on my foot, and I'm like, whoa, that's going to take a while. You know, it's not quite as long as I thought it was. So then I increased every other row for a while. And then I started increasing every row and until it got like to the right length. So maybe that's what helps it fit, since I did the increases every other row on accident. But I'm going to try that again on some other socks and see. And I think I'm going to do, I know I'm going to do more toe up, heel flap, and gussets. Oh, one thing I am going to mention, I probably mentioned this before, but I do 56 stitches for the foot. And then on the leg, I like tall socks a lot of times. Most of my socks are tall. So on the leg part, so on these ones, for instance, I started off with 64 stitches. I did not. I started at the toe. I ended with 64 stitches. So somewhere in through here, I increased, looks about right here, I increased from 56 to 60. And then up here, I increased to 64. So the cuff is 64 stitches. And I did the increases on the edges. So like the texture is here. So I did an increase right before I started the texture is where I did the increases. That part isn't part of the pattern. I just increased on my own. I've got these mittens. I'm seriously the worst at finishing. I have the ribbing on the other thumb to finish, and I'll be finished. So I wanted mitten pattern, and so I decided to kind of really make up my own. I tried to make some, and I don't know, I really should have went up needle size, but even with my small hands, I don't know, maybe it's the yarn. The yarn was a bit thicker than what the pattern called for, so maybe it like was too dense and it didn't stretch. I don't know. I could be just saying this. Point is, they were too small. They also did not have the increases for the thumb, and I think maybe I really, really need the increases for the thumb because it was really tight right through here. So anyway, I ripped that out, kept the cuff because I wasn't going to be doing ribbon again for no reason, and picked up the stitches, and then just did this pattern. So it's a horseshoe cable with some seed stitch, so it's really hard to see actually. So like you can kind of see that one's just knit stitches, and that's textured, so it's like a textured horseshoe cable. And then the bottom part is seed stitch or moss stitch. I think they're the same thing. And I kind of just made the increases up as I went, so they match up pretty well. And like some of them, you know, there was 2 knit stitches instead of knit and purl, but that's just how it was. And you really cannot tell the way it's textured anyway, so it's perfectly fine. I really like it. I really need to get the other one finished because I definitely could be wearing these. They're really nice. I like them. And this is leftover from a shawl. This is the honeysuckle, my honeysuckle base. It's a MCN, and it's in the black gray wine color. There's some black gray wine in the shop, but I don't think it's on honeysuckle. I'm gonna have to pause and get some water. Okay. Last project, or whip. I do have a pair of socks that I just started, but I'm not gonna, I don't have time to show them. So I love the Midas hat so much that I decided I would take steal from Meg a little bit, and she's doing one with fingering weight and mohair. So I've not even got the brim folded, but I'm almost. I'll have to count the rows, but I don't have very many. Just, you know, a few. Let's see. Can you see the mohair? Maybe a little bit. I don't know. Anyway, so the yarn is dark blue, which is Peruvian Darkness Powder by Bad Wolf Girl Studios. The mohair is a charcoal gray by Woolfiendd. And I had meant to take this with me to Omaha, but then I got it that Saturday and didn't get around to winding it up because I was packing, and then I had to go get this or that thing from my mom and my granny, and then we went out to eat and stuff, and I was really stressed about the trip, so I didn't. I failed. But anyway, I started it as soon as I got back. And then there's my little head wig from Simply Serving. I just love her charms. So, I think I did 80 stitches. So I did the crochet chain provisional thing. So I did 80 stitches. I have increased to maybe 100. I think so, because, no, wait, probably not. I probably did the every 10 stitches thing again. I'll have to double check, because that's kind of important whenever you go to putting them together. Maybe I wrote it down, so I'll count them. I don't know what I did. But I increased. I did do 30 rows this time. And see, I went up a needle size, I think. No. Wait, hold on. Yes, size 4. Okay, so maybe the pattern calls for a size 3. Okay, I'll have to check my notes for this first one. I may have used a 3 and a 4 instead of 4 and a 5. Okay, so I've got size 4, and I have learned that if you have interchangeable needles, I stole this idea from other people. If you put the needed size, what size you need on the right needle, and then you put a smaller one on the left, the stitches slide around easier. So that's pretty cool. So you're using the correct size to make the stitch, so therefore it's going to be the loop's going to be the right size. But anyway, so I'll get back to working on this very soon because yeah, I'm a little disgusted with this. You know those times whenever you're in a hurry and you're like in a hotel and you're bored and you just halfway do a gauge swatch and think, yeah, I think that's right. And then you knit the whole body of the sweater and discover, oh, no, that was way off. That's what happened. So, I don't think I'm going to keep it. I don't know. I don't want to give it, look, I want this sweater because I love this color. So, it looks more stripy on that thing than it does in real life, but. So I'm still confused on which side's the front and back. You know, I also think I might have done, I think I really should have marked, because this is the Color Me Cozy, or I think, I mean, unless the name changes. The pattern's not out yet, but it's by Dragon Hoard Yarn. I failed on the test knit. It's not going to be finished. I did a sleeve. Sleeve was like gigantic. I really should have tried it on as I was knitting the sleeve. Then I was like, well, I'll just, you know, try, but I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with this one yet. I really love it. Like, I wish it would be so nice. But it's going to be like 60 degrees next week, so I ain't going to be worried no way. Actually, it's going to be like 67 degrees some days next week. So it was 10 degrees, 15 degrees Wednesday, and next Wednesday it's going to be 67. Then the next Wednesday it'll probably be back to 10. But anyway, that's what happens whenever you're in Tennessee. So I almost think that I made, like, there's short rows on the hem. I still haven't decided if I did the hem short rows on the back like they're supposed to be, or if I messed up and did them on the front. I can't determine which way's front and back. So I do believe I did it right, but then whenever I tried it on, it didn't feel longer in the back. It felt longer in the front. So I don't know. I know whenever I started the short rows, I was like, wait, which side is the beginning of the round? Because I didn't put a beginning of the round marker. You know, you put markers like here and here to mark the sides. I don't know if the pattern called for that. I don't remember. I got a little confused on the marker part. Maybe I probably didn't get confused. I probably didn't read it, because I do that sometimes. I get in a hurry. Anyways, so I had a marker under each arm, and usually I use, you know, a colorful one or one with a charm or something for the beginning of the round, but this time they were both silver. So I got to the short rows and I'm like, wait, which one's the beginning of the round? Then I was like, well, what's the front and back? And then I thought that this little cast on edge was the back. And I think I did the short rows on the right spot, but I don't know. Anyway, when the pattern comes out, it is very well written. It is very lovely and easy to follow. You just got to take the time to read it. And I didn't do that. Also do a gauge swatch. This is Aran weight. So it's quite heavy. And it's supposed to be 17 stitches per 4 inches. But then whenever I measured it a few minutes ago, like laid it out on the floor and measured from, you know, the middle here, it was like 14 stitches per 4 inches. And that's maybe 14 and a half, I don't know. Anyways, the 17 stitches was almost 5 inches. It was like 4 1/4, 3/4 inches. So I think it was like what I would assume is a half of a stitch, because I've never had a half of, 14 and a half stitches per 4 inches, so it's different. I mean, I did the math and I probably needed 100 and, I don't remember, like 50 less stitches than what I have. So I think I'm 50 stitches too big for my gauge. But if I had have went down a needle size, I really think that the fabric would have been dense, like very dense. Very, very dense. And I wouldn't be able to wear it because I don't live where it gets cold enough. I don't even live where it gets cold enough really probably to wear this. But, so I'm going to do something. Maybe make the small or the medium instead of, no wait, hold on. Maybe make the extra small or the small instead of the medium. But, it happens. But I do love the yarn. And I don't know that I'll be like, I don't think I'll be carrying it in the shop just because fingering weight sells the best. So I don't know if there would be very much, you know, demand for Aran weight yarn. But this color is my new Wildwood Flower based on June Carter Cash. This color is my new Till Things Are Brighter based on the song The Man in Black by Johnny Cash. And those are part of my country music collection. So I really love the colors. Really love the colors. This right here is going to go back in the bag until I figure out what I want to do. I'll try it on again and see. Maybe it's actually not that much too big. But then it's super wash, so whenever I wash it, it's probably going to be ginormous. Oh, we'll see. We'll see. Ooh, I did get a pin. I've not got many pins, but I saw this and I posted it on my Instagram, and it was like, I think Nori Studio, and there was another one like a sloth doing something that I had saw. And then whenever I went over to her site, I saw this squirrel with blue's my favorite color, with a blue beanie, knit beanie, and coffee, and he looks like, you know, he's super tired. Like, I don't want to get up. So I had to have a squirrel with a knit hat and a coffee cup. I just had to. I don't think these were on, I don't think I've showed these before, but I've been using them. I did end up purchasing, I broke down finally and purchased the short tips. I went to the trunk show in Alabama, in Decatur, Alabama, at the Yarn Boutique, which if you're anywhere in that area, the Yarn Boutique is awesome. So they had, you know, one of the ladies that worked there was knitting with, I don't remember, she had 2 different sets. And I think one of them might have been a Knit Picks, or no, it's the, they were wooden and they were multicolored, and I don't remember which ones. I don't think the Knit Picks are multicolored. It's the other ones. The Dreams, maybe? I don't know. I could be making that up. But anyways, they were all multicolored. You know, there's whatever brand that is that has like a certain color for each size. And so she had those, and then she had these. And these were noticeably shorter than the others. So I put it off, and finally I was like, you know what, I'm going to get them. And I got them, and I actually used them. This was one of the first things I used them on, I'm pretty sure. And I love them. I absolutely love these needles. And they're the Lika, I think is how you say it. I don't know. Norwegian word for happiness, I think. And so they have this little case. Then you know, this little pocket has your cords and stuff, and it comes with 3 different sizes: 2 16, 2 24s, and excuse me, and 1 32-inch. Now I have the long tips. The long tips are definitely better for, you know, magic loop or shawl knitting or whatever, but these are absolutely perfect for hats and sweaters. And you can use, I mean, I used them for magic loop whenever I was doing that hat on the airplane, because I didn't bring my long tips with me. But I do really, for magic loop, I prefer the longer tip. But I do need to go.